Thank you so much for joining us here today for our presentation of intentional living through ideal self. I'm so grateful to be here with Sibcy Cline today to be able to help support you on your wellness journey and in the pursuit of your ideal self. Sibcy Cline is an incredible partner, and as Robin and I bring this to you, we encourage for you to think about how you can connect with yourself and the community around you through the power of identifying who your ideal self is. So let's dive in. I'm Stevie Carr, founder and CEO of Wise Wellness Guild. I'm here to help you achieve peak performance and avoid burnout through finding more purpose in your life. I've been featured on CNBC, on Fox, on In Touch magazine. And one of the really incredible parts of the work that I've done is that I have founded my own company based on my pursuit of my ideal self. I spent 10 years at Procter & Gamble and 2 at UC Health. And during that time, I realized how important it is for me to catalyze the potential of others. And so diving in, Ideal Self has given me the opportunity to be able to bring today's agenda to you. As you identify your ideal self, it's who you are, who you want to be. What is it that you want out of life? What does it feel like? And then stepping into the real self of who are you today and how far away are you from that ideal version of yourself? The learning agenda associated with who do you want to become and how you're going to do it and how does it feel is iterative and one that really requires an investment in trial and error, honestly, in order for you to be able to do that. It requires practice and refinement and evolution and willingness to let go of things that are no longer serving you. And as you step into this, supportive relationships, it's about the 5 people around you in that support system that can make or break your ability to become the best version of yourself. So this is really rooted in Richard Biasis, who is of Case Western Reserve University, of intentional change theory. So intentional change theory is the idea of not just deciding that you want to change and you want to become the best version of yourself, but also how you're going to do it. And so this approach is 5-step, but really it's not done at the end of 5-step. This is all a journey that continues to move forward. It's identifying who you want to be, identifying your real self. Who are you? What are your strengths? And how are they similar to where you want to go? Do you want to just build on them or they're completely new? Where are the gaps? And how do you identify differently based on where you're at today versus where you're going? It's identifying that new learning discovery agenda that we'll get into. It's about identifying how you can build on your strengths and reduce the gaps of where you want to go. It's about new behaviors, thoughts, and feelings through experimentation and identifying those new neural pathways along the way. So being able to say something like, I'm a person that, likes sushi, and I want to be a person that likes seafood. Well, it's about identifying, the fact that you really want to change and that that's important to you because your neural pathways are really start to kind of solidify as we get older. And so the idea is that we can be an old dog learning new tricks, but it has to be congruent with our values and the ideal self of the type of person that we want to be. The last is about identifying resonant relationships. So it's about creating that support system around us of not just people and culture that can help us become the best version of ourselves. Intentional life design matters because it's important that we live life on purpose. It's crucial that we make the decisions intentionally of who we want to be. That intentionality matters because we can get really lost in the chaos of life. We're making about 32, we're taking in about 32 gigs of information on a daily basis. We're making about 35 decisions on a daily basis. 35,000 decisions is a lot of decisions, right? But so many of them are subconscious, and we're making decisions based on very black and white in our brains. Yes, for me, no, not for me. There are birds outside of my window that are chirping, and my subconscious has said, no, those birds are not a threat. They're not a pterodactyl coming after me. They are, something that I don't need to worry about. So no, not for me subconsciously. I don't even need to pay attention to them. And so the idea is that intentionality, we can build our ideal selves around the idea of instinct, and our identities become instinctual. There are things that we built with familiarity over time. We've consistently been who we are for a while, so we kind of become potentially complacent. We've been told time over time what we're good at, but have we really thought about what we value? Our identities, they've been sensorial. I decided to put on these pearls today because I want to convey a certain something and break through those 100,000 words a day. But have I been intentional about wearing these? How intentional are you showing up with the tone of voice, or, the way that you smell, the scent that you wear? There's things that really matter as it relates to how you intentionally show up, and then also how you connect with people. How relevant are you in the work that you do at Sibcy Cline? It's about being relevant in people's lives and showing up in a way that can connect with them so they can trust and respect you, and being distinctive and standing out because people want to know that you really want to do this work for them and connect with them. And being distinctive allows for them to see you among the masses of the others. One quick concept that I just wanted to share with you is the concept of thin slicing. So the idea of thin slicing is how other people perceive you. And thin slicing, within 3 seconds, people decide whether they trust or respect you. And while it actually is something that is more about them, it's the way that they see you through their lens. It is something to just be conscious of and be, are you being intentional about conveying the right things and making sure that, as you think about, going and building relationships and being your own brand, that it's something that you really step into consciously. And we always say that excellence is never an accident. It is always the result of high intention and sincere effort and intelligent execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. And so as we identify our ideal self, it's about taking that perception of who we are and really thinking about, what does it look like to be the best, most ideal version of ourselves? Is it realistic? Have I done this before? Does it excite me? Am I ready to change? It's really important for you to visualize who you want to be and really understand how it feels at the core of who you are. So as we think about ideal self, we a lot of times talk about this in the context of values. So thinking about those peak moments of who you were at a moment in time that really filled you with joy and purpose, and describe it in detail, the values associated with it, and personalize it. In the first step of your worksheet, you'll see that this has a lot of different values. And what I would encourage you to do is, don't think about this through the lens of other people telling you what you should value, but more about what you really do value. And an example of this is when I was at Procter & Gamble, when I left, I was on a team of people that very much valued achievement, like me. I had the self-awareness to know that I very much value achievement, but the way that we achieve something mattered, and it differed in value from my peers. So I very much love to achieve in teams and bringing people along the journey, and all boats rise. But my team members very much valued individual achievement and the idea of moving quickly and moving forward and having progress instead of winning as a group. And you could see how that challenge would be important for us to know that there's a delta, because being able to invest in my time in that team became incredibly challenging with those rifts. It was incongruent. So knowing that, when I was building my own company, I knew that I really wanted a team around me that had the same idea, that we could all win together and bring our differences to the table to create a really impactful, meaningful solution. So I encourage you to pick the top 4 to 6, not values that are coming from external, but ones that are coming from within, and put them in values into action. So if you value economic security, for example, your statement would be, I am a person who is confident in managing my money. If you value community, you prioritize community engagement. And purpose, I'm a person who starts every day with meditating on purpose. So for me, I value health and wellness. I'm a person who works out every day, no matter what. Now, that might sound really lofty, right? Going from not working out, so working out, but I'm a person that puts on my gym shoes every day. I get out of my pajamas and I put on my gym shoes. And the likelihood of me working out every day increases by just about 99% once I've done those two actions. And my workout doesn't have to be amazing, but I'm honoring that promise because eventually my workouts will be amazing and they'll be actionable. But I feel like that for me, I am a person that works out every day is me becoming the person that's trying on, for size, what that ideal version of myself looks like. So exercise 2, I encourage you to put in, the values that you are trying to be, that ideal self, and then becoming that person, trying it on for size. How does it feel? And identifying your real self helps us to understand our baseline. Where are we now and how far away are we from our ideal self? Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So that self-awareness is truly key and important. Your ideal self is the person who is confident with money, right? We've already established that. But how confident are you today? What things do you have in place? Have you downloaded Mint? Do you have a financial advisor? Are you having active conversations about money? Or are you trying to pay off student loans? Are you in debt? Have you managed, just understanding where we are and understanding how that makes us feel and being honest about that. If this brings us a lot of anxiety and trouble, then that could just be something that maybe it's something that we outsource. And maybe we're a person that is confident managing our money because we've got the right people in place to help us with that. Or it's just something that is done and off of our plate, but it's not part of our values. So we're managing it and just being smart, but we aren't actively engaging with it all the time. So I encourage you to just know the difference and know that the baseline is really going to be able to help us with how incongruent or congruent we are with our values. So with our real self, it's helping to identify kind of the delta, right, between where we are in our real self and ideal self. And the further away we are, the harder this journey is going to be. So I encourage you to just pick, small actionable steps that we start with. So for me, part of the challenge was, between my real self and ideal self is I wasn't prioritizing my time. There are some real limitations in life for us to being able to do this work. Time being one of them. Sometimes it's resources, sometimes it's health. But for me, it was about creating space on my calendar to be able to do this. And so waking up earlier than I would generally like to is something that I've committed to doing every day because it's important to me and it's something that I value. And when I do it, I feel better. And when I feel better, I can be better for other people. I would encourage you that from a self-awareness and tools standpoint, go ahead and take a shot of this on your phone. But Cloverleaf and our wellness assessment are two areas that you can start. Cloverleaf provides access to Enneagram. It provides access to a multitude of different resources that you can dive into that help to give you that self-awareness. And there's other things that you can download and purchase, like strengths finders and things like that as well. On the wellness assessment side, this is one area that would be really great for people to try and understand where they are on the 8 pillars of whole self wellness. And this just gives you an idea if you are interested in, improving your mental health, if you are interested in being better with money or, improving your career, this is a place to start. On your learning agenda. So a goal without a plan is just a wish. This is the framework for you to be able to achieve the ideal self that you've been working towards. And we say pick one thing and start there. So we really kind of get into that idea of, what does that glide path look like for you and how can we help to support you? We start with objectives. So what are you trying to achieve and who are you trying to become? Your motivators. What motivates you? If you've ever done any of the Enneagram work, as I'd mentioned, I'm a 3. So achievement really does drive me, and being able to achieve goals along the way is really crucial for me. So what drives you? What motivates you? How can you leverage that to your advantage? What steps do you need to take to get there? So specific habits and behaviors in place that you're going to put into place. For me, putting on my gym shoes is mine. For you, it's up to you. What steps are you really interested in exploring? What obstacles? Let's be honest about what's in the way. For me, it was time. Time was my biggest barrier. So I created more time by going to bed earlier and getting up earlier. How will I know I succeeded? I think that identifying this so you know that there's specific things along the way. And this for me is specifically tied to down here with rewards. So how along that success journey, how are you rewarding yourself? Who is supporting you? And what resources do you need? I think one of the most crucial pieces about this is your review. So you review yourself in a way that helps you to understand how you're doing along your journey and where you could have improved. Because along this self-improvement journey, were there things that obstacles that you didn't even know about that rose up, triggers that you had? And I think that identifying those, it will help you with the next time around. Resonant relationships might be the most undervalued part of any habit change. The people who habitually associate with determine as much as 95% of success or failure in life. And when I say people, I mean, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And when you think about the habits that no longer serve you and the people that are around you, a lot of times we are talking about culture as well. So the culture that surrounds you around food, around money, around ideals, are they serving you in the pursuit of your best version of yourself? And on the converse, are you surrounded by people, in a great space that maybe you haven't tapped into that can really serve you along your ideal self? It's just about being aware of the environment that you're in matters. And I think that being able to step into this will be really crucial for you to identify not only your personal and occupational goals and understanding the people that are around you. So who was your personal advisory board? Who are the 5 people that are closest to you and are they serving you? And then who are your role models in life? Identifying the people in your personal life that you can look up to and looking at the role models in your professional life. For me, when I was amidst kicking off Wise Wellness Guild, I noticed that the people that I felt the most close with, I didn't know. It was the people that were writing the McKinsey Women in the Workforce report. I reached out to them, and to my surprise, they responded back to me and welcomed me into the conversation. And I think that I would just encourage you to say, don't be afraid of being rejected by role models. I mean, I think the biggest thing is it says more about them than about you. Be curious and dream big about who you would put on here, and then reach out to them. And the worst that they can say is no, because that's really more about your ego. It's not about actual rejection. And it's more about, us writing down multiple people in these role models to take parts and pieces of things that we really love, because one individual person will never have lived your journey. And that person would never have everything around them that you've had to bring to the table. And by compiling a lot of the different parts and pieces that we love about multiple role models allows for us to become, the best version of our personal ideal selves, not necessarily just living somebody else's life. So to kind of recap here, our ideal selves are who we want to become, the best version of ourselves, really diving into that. Our real self, who are we today? Who do we want to be? The learning agenda, what do we need to do to become our ideal selves? So that path forward is going to be iterative and allowing for us to practice and refine how we evolve, trying on new things, learning that maybe it's not for us. And those resonant relationships, intentionally building those people around us to become the best version of ourselves. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate your dedication to this. And again, I cannot speak highly enough about my experience so far in working with Sibcy Cline. Robin has been an incredible partner, truly invested in the people of this community and of the people who are supporting Sibcy Cline. You are a part of the fabric of, what makes that place great. And she as a leader is dedicated to your success. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and make sure that you check out wisewellnessguild.com for whole self wellness resources, as well as any additional resources you might want to have on learning about your ideal self, about boundaries, about how we can support you along your pursuit to becoming your ideal self. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And we look forward to learning more about how we can partner together moving forward. Thank you.